Christina.
The ladies' room. She'll be back.
You can talk, everybody. You don't have to be so silent.
It's recorded.
It's recording in
Oh,
progress.
that's
Ron,
right.
are
I
you kidding?
forgot.
You can talk.
Mics are hot.
Welcome, everybody, to the regular Board of Trustee meeting for Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. Is there a motion to open tonight's meeting? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. Meeting is hereby open. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is a presentation by Congressman Latimer. He's not here yet. I've texted him to see what's going on, so we'll go forward until I hear from him. Next item is appointments. So I'm happy to appoint Tess McDade as a member of the Ad hoc Senior Advocacy Committee for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee. We need a resolution for the following one. Is there a resolution to appoint George Epstein as a member of the Traffic Committee for a term of 1 year, as recommended by the nominating committee? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor. I hereby passes. Is there a motion to appoint Martin O'Leary as a volunteer firefighter for the Dobbs-Surrey Fire Department? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously. We want to thank all of the people for taking the time out to volunteer. Their service is much appreciated, and we look forward to other volunteers going forward. Next is courtesy of the floor. Is anybody here to speak about courtesy of the floor, of an issue? Anybody online?
Last week we had 7 or 8.
Howdy. I'm counting on you. Nothing to say.
Let's move on before he changes his mind. Okay, so the next two are pretty easy. They're block parties. So is there a motion to approve a request from Michelle Barone Strong for a block party on Saturday, June 28th, 2025, between the hours of 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. with a rain date of Friday, June 27th, for 194 Palisade Avenue?
The rain date is before the,
Yes, we know that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I spoke with the applicant. They want to have the sale on, the block party rather, on Saturday. Anticipating if the weather's going to be poor, they want to have it on Friday rather than have it on Sunday. So
Right.
the dates are correct as noted.
And what are the street closures?
I've never seen that before.
Yes, we know, it came to our attention too. Palisade Avenue.
Palisade and
177,
Flower.
it says 177-235 Palisade Avenue.
So it's just between the property line? Because
No,
you're
it's
not
not.
authorizing a block party, you're authorizing street
We're
closures.
authorizing a street closure
Yes.
from Magnolia Place to Flower Avenue along Palisade.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Is there a motion to ratify the approval of a street closure of Oak Street between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 p.m., which occurred May 25th, 2025?
Still going on? Still waiting?
So I don't know if Trustee Galen can make this
She should
motion.
recuse herself. I will recuse myself.
So,
My husband's request.
How do you do it after the fact?
so is there a motion? Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Rosenberg.
Are we also approving a penalty?
Also approving a rain date. Okay.
So we have a rain date that's before the date, and we have a street closure that happened already.
Yes. So is there we have the motion made by trustee Now. The second was made by trustee Rosenberg. All in favor? That passes 6-0 with trustee Galen abstaining.
We should have all voted against.
And then find
That would
her.
have been interesting.
That would have been
Yeah,
funny.
what would you do? Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize the Dobbs Ferry Youth Service Council to host the 13th Annual Holiday Hustle on Sunday, December 14th, 2025, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 noon, and to authorize the street closure for village streets along the race route between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 p.m.? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously.
I would like to note that this is the first time we've gotten 7 months' notice on an event.
And I hope they tell the church,
Without a rain date.
Yeah, we have to tell the
tell the Zion Church.
Zion Church about that, right. Okay, the next item is regarding the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad. It says in the proposed resolution, 22 municipalities along the proposed site have been asked to authorize a management plan for the route that Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad took many years ago.
From Long Island up to Buffalo,
For huge tourism.
it goes up Route 9.
Yeah. I think
That's awesome.
one of the issues was we couldn't have a sign or a commercial.
It's in the resolution.
Right, so we have to just be aware of that.
Why can't we have a sign?
We could have a sign for Harriet for this, but you can't have other commercial type of
But
sign.
where is it?
Can't, like, have a
Where are we saying that we won't put signs anymore?
So I had a map of this, and there was a map, there's a map.
That doesn't show me where in Dawson.
Yeah,
Like, I have no idea.
Rob had that.
You mean Broadway? The main
Broadway,
street?
yeah, it's Broadway.
We can't put,
It's
what
Route
does that mean
9.
we can't put any signs on Broadway?
Like a commercial type of sign.
You mean like
It's
the advertisement?
It seemed to me, reading the thing, that property owners are not allowed to put commercial billboards on their property, which
Right.
they're already not allowed to do.
Right.
Exactly.
We're just
Okay,
reinforcing an
non-issue.
existing
Right.
law.
So is there a motion to accept the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad New York Scenic Byway Nomination and Corridor Management Plan? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor. That passes unanimously.
It's very exciting.
And I see that the congressman has arrived. So, welcome. The microphone is all yours. Normally, we allow 3 minutes, but for you,
I'll go fast.
you can have as much time as you like.
Don't say that. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, for having me visit with you. This is part of a series of visits I'm making all across the 16th Congressional District. There's 26 or so village, town, and city councils or village boards, town boards, and then 2 community boards in the Bronx. And I wanted to come to each of them at least once during the course of the year to give at least a little update and a little connection of what we're trying to do. In this assignment, we all know each other from other assignments, but in this particular one, my responsibilities are to turn my phone off and then also
But
to,
that is soothing.
just give a little idea of what's happening in Washington, which could be pleasantly called chaotic. I will try to stay as nonpartisan as we can in a public setting like this. There are other settings by which I might elaborate more. First of all, let me mention that we have district offices open. We have an office in downtown White Plains. So any resident that wants the constituent services that can be provided by a member of Congress on any of the federal issues that come up, passport issues, immigration issues, things that deal with Social Security, veterans benefits, all of those are fair game. And we have that office is headed by Ellen Hendricks, whom you all know, town councilwoman, also in her responsibilities. And I welcome any follow-up to that that people have for those kinds of issues. I am in Washington in general 3 weeks a month and 4 days per week. It's a very intensive legislative environment, more so than Albany, where I served, not representing this area, but other parts of the county. So my omnipresence isn't quite as omni as it was, during my context as county executive. The issues that are at hand, I think, are pretty clear if you read the newspapers. The president and this administration, with the majority of the House and the majority of the Senate, are launching a host of different things in a very different way than have been done before. I don't find them acceptable for my purposes, so I voted no on a lot of issues. But the bottom line is that we're looking at a sea change in the way government is going to be run by this government, which will ultimately have effect on the state government, county government, and then down to the local governments as well. What that spillover effect looks like is incalculable so far. The budget that passed the House on a purely partisan vote, 215 votes in favor, 214 votes against, a one vote majority, will cut Medicaid dramatically. And in the cutting of Medicaid dramatically will put a major problem on the desk of the state government. And if the state government realizes it cannot backfill what the federal government will pull out of Medicaid, so we'll have to determine what becomes Medicaid eligible or not. That will have an impact on county government, which pays for a quarter of the bill on Medicaid. And then the programs, the Dobbs Ferry Downtown Initiative, which you so properly won, could be affected if every one of the other levels of government are affected in their revenue stream. So it's hard to know how things will work. The CDBG program, the county's urban consortium program, is based on a federal commitment to the community development block grants. Well, that commitment may not be there in HUD when all of the cutting and the slashing is finished. So there's a lot of things that are hard to calculate. The one thing that I think is of the best benefit, and I know your village manager very well from our past years in government, is to try to identify, for your benefit, whatever direct monies you're getting from the federal government, whether they're grant or pass along, and then try to determine how much of that is potentially vulnerable. And I'm happy to be available to the manager, to the mayor, to the board of trustees, to help try to assess what that looks like so you can better judge what's going to happen in your world. Many of the things that are proposed in the budget that was presented are not expected to go into effect immediately, so they may not affect your existing budget year, the one that just started, but it would have ramifications down the line and commitments that you've made in this budget that are logically expected to be things you would do next year and the year after that. That's where the problem may lie, so that you have to make that assessment and determine, what that means to you and your fiscal stability. And I will try to be as good an advocate for you in these things as I can at the federal level. The cuts and the changes are in all departments of federal government. There's not, a sacrosanct, sacred cow with the possible exception of the Department of Defense. So this administration is going after the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Labor, the EPA, you name it, it is under the potential chopping block. You saw the video picture of Elon Musk with a chainsaw, which tells you that it's not a rational analysis of how to downsize or how to cut out waste, but an assertion of fraud, corruption, and waste, an assertion but not proven, and a desire to just sort of slash the size and scope of government. And that has ramifications down the line. So that is a story yet to be fully told. And my note of admonition is the same one that I take to myself. Assume that anything can happen in the days to come, and let us try to plan together for what might be the worst-case scenario, and then deal with that at that. And I think in that, you will have allies in your state legislators, Mary Jane Shimsky and Andre Stewart-Cousins, whom I've spoken to, your county officials. I'm planning to bring my team to meet with the county executive's executive team and maybe some leaders of the Board of Legislators to talk through these things. And so on one level, the concern are the direct money that comes from the feds, and on the secondary level, things that come to the state and the county, which could be affected by those governments having to make cutbacks that they didn't expect to make. And we will try to work through all of these different things. The grant money that was approved under my predecessor, Congressman Bowman, were not funded forward for this year. They were approved properly last year and agreed to under the Biden administration and with the Senate Democratic majority, but this current majority is not advancing them. So we have resubmitted all of the same projects. And to the extent that there's a Dobbs Ferry project, a Hastings project, an Ardsley project, whatever it is, we went ahead and resubmitted all of them. No new projects this year. We're going to try to see if we can fund the ones that were committed to have been funded last year. And we'll see how that turns out, because that's not a guaranteed situation as well. There are a lot of larger issues at hand, things that are happening internationally and things that are happening on other public policy areas. I'll leave those off the table since we're here talking about local government and its relationship to the federal government. But if there's any desire for me to come back at another time, maybe a work session with your leaders, I'm happy to do that. And then I have extended already to folks in the Dobbs Ferry community. I'm happy to attend any public meeting of any organizational group in order to answer questions that they may have either in a narrow area of public policy or across the board. I have avoided doing those big flashy town hall meetings because I don't think you get a dialogue in those meetings. You get people who come, they're upset, and they express how they're upset they are, and it becomes more of a show for the cameras than it is a dialogue between people who want information and ideas. So if the Chamber of Commerce has a meeting and it's to discuss the tariff issue, I'm happy to do that. If the fire services and the police service have a meeting, they want to discuss what's happening in that area, first responder areas of the federal government, I'm happy to do that. And hopefully those will be productive meetings. So that's as fast as I could go and as general as I could go. But Mr. Mayor, I'll leave it up to you and your colleagues if you'd like me to take as many questions as you'd like.
Sure. I just very quickly, first of all, I appreciate you being here. I think we haven't had a congressperson here ever, I don't think, so thank you very much for coming. So thank you for that. We had, in the past, we've gotten millions of dollars from FEMA. So what's your sense with FEMA going forward? Will there be a FEMA? What do you think?
See that, that's also this general ideology that says that the government is too big and, too unwieldy is something that appeals to the way some people feel. But when you talk about, and you'll hear the rhetoric, we want to make the states more empowered to respond to these issues. What they mean is the federal government will spend less money and put more of the responsibility on the state. So if we get something horrific that happens, you're a waterfront community, something that happens out on the Hudson River, and it affects flooding in a dramatic way, the feds under this administration are basically saying, don't call us, call your state government. And no state government has the resources to be able to handle something like that because you assume would affect you and all the other river communities on both sides of the river, just to make an imaginary story above it. So I think FEMA is under suspect for being underfunded, and I think it goes to everything. Even departments you wouldn't expect to be. The weather predictions of NOAA are under suspect as being a big government overreach. So I'm afraid, Mr. Mayor, that FEMA falls in the same category.
I have a question about the cuts to Medicaid, since we have a hospital right here, a small hospital, and how even if you're not on Medicaid, you could be affected by these cuts on Medicaid for the smaller hospitals and the services they offer.
Yeah, I think, Madam Trustee, that what we're going to see is the cuts to Medicaid are envisioned as, well, those people aren't working and they should work harder to get their benefits. What's going to happen is that without Medicaid funding, certain services that are provided for that individual, the individual and the hospital that provides them and the nursing homes are going to lose revenue, and in some cases they're going to go under. It's going to be more pronounced in rural areas where you may have one hospital in a 50-mile radius, and there's no particular wealth in an area like that. You don't have people going in for elective surgery that's profitable. And so I think they're going to see a terrible boomerang with these cuts to Medicaid. We've estimated that in our district, the Medicaid cuts could affect almost 200,000 people. There's 770,000 people in the congressional district. 200,000 people is a huge percentage. 73,000 children, 27,000 seniors. Those are estimates, but if they're off by somewhat, it's still a significant number of people. And it will affect the medical facilities. It'll affect at-home care. And then what happens to any of us when you have an aged parent who needs care, but the facilities that would provide that care have gone under? And you lose the amount of nursing. You already have trouble with getting nursing home beds now. You lose nursing home beds. Is somebody going to quit their job to stay at home, to take care of their mother or father at home? That's not helping the economy. So all of this has been done, I think, with ideology, not with rationality. And those ramifications will be seen. My hope is that if there isn't a change in philosophy, then there's a change in those making the decisions. And that decisions can change if the decision makers change.
Any other questions for the congressman?
Is there anything you'd recommend for chambers or for small business communities? I mean, you're aware that, New York has, the county and the state have both been incredibly supportive of downtown revitalization in Dobbs Ferry and elsewhere. And Are there any sort of success stories coming out so far about, I don't know, any kind of mutual aid or anything that we should be looking at for our downtown business community or our Chamber of Commerce, which covers a bunch of different municipalities?
Well, the problem right now is that the decisions that are being made in Washington by the administration and those legislators who support them are not taking into account the real-world impacts of their decisions. The tariffs are a perfect example of that. The narrative from the White House has been, we're going to slap a tariff on this country to try to punish this country for not doing something political. And you know as a merchant, and I know as well as a consumer, that the individual that buys the goods or the service is the one paying the tariff. And in fact, the president has started to jawbone companies to not show the tariffs as a separate line in the bill. And he's jawboning Apple and he's jawboning Walmart's because the negative impact of the tariffs alone are part of it. There's also potential negative impact with his plans to talk about mass deportation, because the immigrant workforce is very much an essential part of some industries' workforce, restaurant business, gardening and so forth, in other parts of the country, agriculture. And if he even begins that process with any kind of success, even without the full deportation, it's going to freeze the workforce market in a way that's going to hurt small business. And I don't think they're thinking about that. So what I would argue is perhaps we meet and have a discussion, and of course, Trustee Asher is at the heart of that countywide. And let's show what the impacts would be across the board, not just in river towns, not just in any one area, and then let that be the business-oriented argument against bad policies. Not ideological, not, oh, we're party A and they're party B, but this is what is practical for business, and this is not practical for business in the area of that. I think also when you destabilize Medicaid, and to some extent some of the other programs, you're going to destabilize people in the workforce who are going to find their personal economics are impacted negatively, and then they may or may not be able to work in the fields that they work in, and that's going to be a problem as well. So it's hard to say exactly what the timeline is for these things. So I would say when you're with your colleagues in the chamber, there's a discussion. I'm happy to call in if I'm in Washington, if I can't be there in person. And then the other thing that I am trying to do is to get an accurate, up-to-date list of what the actual tariffs are, because they've been changing. What time is it now? 7:35. It could have changed, and to give your merchants, your colleagues, an idea of what's happening. So when you price a product, you'll know what it is that it's impacting. When it's changed as much as they do, I don't know how someone pricing their service or their product can change with that kind of oscillation. It's destabilizing, as you've seen on Wall Street. But at least if I can provide you whatever the updated information is, you can share it with your colleagues and you can at least have the knowledge that's available. I think I did send some material to the River Towns Chamber, but you can double check and see if that's in their possession, and it could be out of date as we speak. So,
One other question. There's, as you know, there's a huge project going on right now to plan for a redesign and reconstruction of Route 9 between Hastings-Yonkers border and Sleepy Hollow. Have you heard anything about whether infrastructure funds like that, some of which would most likely come from the federal government, are those also on the chopping block?
well, it's a good question, and I don't know the answer to it. Since so much is on the chopping blocks, and I assume there's a lot of revisiting of things that were done by this administration because of the prior administration. There's clearly an animosity looking back over the prior administration. So I think they'd like to undo things that were done. And one of the major things that the prior administration did was infrastructure money dramatically in the IRA. So I'd have to look at that. It's probably worthwhile, Mr. Mayor, for you to prioritize, maybe 5 key things that you're concerned about, include this in it, and then send a letter to me and let it be the consensus of the members of the board. And if you want to talk to your colleagues in Wamoa, maybe they're broad enough that they would be from multiple communities. But certainly, Route 9 is a major, thoroughfare, and the improvements are necessary. I drove it tonight, so I know exactly, what the problems are. But whether or not there's cuts planned that would affect the ability to get grants money for that, I don't know. I suspect it probably is true, but I don't know that for sure. So I'd have to check it out to be positive.
Thank you.
Anything else?
New York State has just announced their consolidated funding process. They've opened up for applications and they're doing a lot of outreach informational sessions. How will this vacillating issue with pulling funding affect the ability of the state to move forward with their consolidating funding program?
Yeah, don't know. I spoke to Andre Stewart-Cousins when I saw her a couple days ago, and we agreed to have a meeting to discuss, now that the state budget has just been finalized in the last 10 days or 7 days, to see what the pressure points are. You know, the concern is that when the feds underfund New York State in a couple of categorical areas, that they will then look at discretionary areas of funding to offset where they're hit. And then that becomes a state decision, and it's all bad choices. You're going to renege on things that you were committed to, that you wanted to do. You know, from my prior county responsibility, I know it was in the 2025 county budget as it was approved and agreed upon. And now, unfortunately, my successor and my friends in county government may have to look at a document that was perfectly balanced with a solid reserve fund, and may have to make changes based on what's happening in these other things. So it really depends on what the state does and how the state reacts to whatever the feds do. And then they may not give funding to the county, and then the county's going to have to revisit things that the royal we, because I was part of the we, that we did, believing that we had the revenue stream, and now knowing that we don't have some of that revenue stream for reimbursements. It's a very volatile situation. And I don't think there's any question that this president wants to remake America from top to bottom. He's not satisfied with remaking the county, with the state government, federal government. He wants the whole thing. And a good example of that is the way he's going after DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in some of the contracts for federal money, they're arguing that you cannot have a program in your local government that involves diversity, equity, and inclusion if you're going to get the federal money. This is not a policy that the legislature has approved, although it might, given the construct of it. But something like provision like that could defund a host of things, because you're asking, you know, those of us in a state like New York to act as if we were Alabama. And we're not Alabama. You know, we have a different set of priorities. And this is where some of the collision is ahead of us in Washington. So
We are dealing with that DEI issue right now, so it's interesting. So,
anyway, I think I've abused your time.
not at all. It's always
But I
welcome, always
appreciate it.
welcome. We love you to come here. We'd like to hear it from you directly. So, I mean, I have to say, you always keep, certainly Bob, you text me a lot with what's happening, and you send me updates, so I appreciate that. And again, you've been more responsive than I think any congressperson in memory has been, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
And thanks, and you're welcome anytime.
Forward we go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Good luck on your challenges tonight, and I'm sure I'll see you all out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. all.
Thank you, Congressman.
Leave him alone, Patty.
He's not going to miss an opportunity.
That's why you didn't stand up for courtesy.
That's why he didn't say anything. He was saving
Yeah,
it.
I'm not here for you.
He wanted to speak to a higher
Exactly.
authority.
Who are you? Right.
Action item number 5, I think we dealt with this last year, and it didn't pass. So this year, I mean, didn't pass in the state level. So we're again expressing our support for this packaging reduction act. So is there a motion to support the New York State Senate Bill S-1464 and Assembly Bill A-1749 to enact the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act? Trustee Nell, you brought it to our attention this year, so Trustee Nell. Second, Trustee Rose and Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 6 is a.
And thank you to Holly for coming, just in case we had any questions.
Oh!
Sustainable Ducks.
You want to give us a, nah, we don't need it, we're fine, we passed it, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Action item number 6 is to consider a resolution adopting a policy for travel outside of the village. So for the next 3 or 4 resolutions, the village has had workshop sessions, including the treasurer, at the idea of the treasurer, and we've discussed how certain policies should be implemented regarding the employees of the village who travel on behalf of the village. So we came up with some rules that I think it's always good to have it out in front before people actually travel. So for the next 4 of them, we're going to address those that have already been discussed in a workshop. So it's not as if we haven't addressed them and discussed it. And I think, Jeff, you actually tweaked a few of them in response to our workshop items. So we're just going to jump right in, and if anybody has any questions or anything they want to highlight, meaning the trustees, they certainly can. So is there a motion to adopt a policy for travel outside of the village, to attend conferences and expense reimbursement, emergency meetings, and food purchases? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Action item number 7. Is there a motion to adopt the village's fuel card policy laid out in the resolution? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 8. By the way, Rob, are we going to get this out to the village staff? How are they going to know about this?
Yeah, it comes up at the next department head meeting, so that usually timed right after the board meetings.
Okay. The next item is to discuss the village's gift card policy. Is there a motion to,
You want it?
yeah, I just want to say, do you want to talk about that at all?
Are you
Are you
here for
interested in
that?
this at all, the gift card thing? Because it may affect, yeah. Yeah. Only because it may affect,
Youth Services Council.
yeah, only because it may affect the,
It does affect the holiday
it's going to affect the holiday hustle. So that's why I want, okay.
So this is a policy decision or policy position that came from Jeff because there have been, not in Dobbs Ferry, but there have been local, in our area and elsewhere, issues with, for context, the idea is that certain grants allow municipalities to purchase gift cards to give them out as sort of incentives for, a basketball tournament or something like that. And there have been significant instances of fraud or kind of using the gift cards in order to conduct fraudulent behavior and transfer of grant funds to individuals who are not entitled to those funds. So in order to kind of just tighten up the operation here, our Treasurer Jeff's recommendation was to stop using grant funds for gift cards, and that we would work with Youth Services Council and anyone else who's currently who uses gift cards as part of the programming in a positive way to get youth to come to different events and things like that. That we could work creatively to find some other things that aren't kind of a direct funds transfer from a grant. I mean,
No. We're waiting for, do you have any, we'd work with you to see if you have any other ideas.
Well, nobody's worked with me, but I noticed some of the suggestions.
Why don't you come on up to the microphone?
Oh,
I know you didn't think you were going to get called on today, but
right.
I know you were involved in it.
I mean, there are prizes that are not essentially
Correct.
cash.
And I know this
problem
came
is
up, and
with
Jeff, I know you discussed this
Amazon.
with Melissa. I don't know what went behind it, but there was a suggestion that she come out of pocket to purchase some of these gift cards, and then she gets reimbursed. No? Okay, that's good. Any
I think that the concern
ideas?
is just, yeah, I mean, like, this is a programmatic question of the ideas, and like, of course, we'll like work together to figure this out, and this is a very strong suggestion from our treasurer for fiscal responsibility that we shouldn't be doing this, but essentially, if you have a gift card that's like a cash gift card or an Amazon-type gift card, you're essentially transferring grant funds into cash to another individual, and I completely understand programmatically why that's a really nice incentive for a program participant, but, there are physical things that we could gift or use as incentives for folks to come to programming that wouldn't be like a cash transfer.
Right, which is part of the, not the council, but the coalition.
I'm sorry,
That's fine, that's fine.
Excuse me.
Have we asked other municipalities or any other villages that have coalitions what they do and how they get around the gift card issue?
I think it's just gifts that aren't effectively cash is, so prizes that are, a basketball or a physical gift that is not essentially cash.
So maybe we should ask SAS for what other municipalities do to grant
Yeah.
gift cards, because they do, because other coalitions do give
gift cards as rewards or as prizes to youth that come out, that kind of motivates them,
Right,
right?
right, of
So it would be interesting to know what other people do. So I'm not sure, Jeff, if you had the opportunity to talk to Nicole at all.
I've talked to Nicole about that. And, excuse me, like was mentioned, some of the grants allow this. Our concern, though, is that, there have been instances of fraud and theft. It's very easy to just take gift cards. And I'm not saying anybody here has done that, but, I think there's other ways that incentives could be handled.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll talk
Understood.
about that.
Yeah.
So we just want, I'm glad you're here to discuss it, and let you guys know. We have been in contact with Melissa, but we'll find out if there are other ways to incentivize people for participating or attending events or winning events, rather than just the gift cards, because it is ripe for
Sure.
fraud. So,
Okay, understood. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
And the context is just that this is considered a best practice rather than saying, we're not responding to something specifically that happened here. We're not saying that other folks don't do this. We're just saying that for, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to do it this way.
Okay.
Take a big breath.
So is there a motion to adopt the village's gift card policy as outlined in the resolution? Trustee Galen. Second, trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 9 is a discussion regarding the change order policy. So is there a motion to adopt the village's change order policy, where we realize that from time to time, capital projects will require a change, and we're just laying out a clear process for that. So is there a motion?
Could I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Could I make a request that we change the extension of the schedule to 10 days? That's 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks. I think 2 weeks is kind of a good marker. Anything more than that is probably going to be substantially more than this amount of money anyway.
So it says 15 working days.
That's 3 weeks.
Right.
I would just lower that number a little bit. I think it helps keep us more focused on schedule, which we all know is a big issue with the community when it comes to our capital construction projects.
Jeff, do you have an issue with that?
I don't.
Okay, does anybody on the board have an issue with that?
Do you have an issue with this?
Rob?
No, it's a tight time frame, which is fine.
Okay, so I'm just going to amend that to I don't know, 10 working days?
10 working days.
Okay. So I don't know, do we make the motion yet? No,
I think I interrupted you, sorry.
so quite all right. Now I'm gonna make it, and you're gonna move it. So is there a motion to approve the village's adopting of the village's change order policy as amended in today's meeting? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 10, we annually belong to the Historic Hudson River Towns, which is it's an organization that promotes tourism in the Rivertown communities. So our dues are payable now, so it's $2,600. So is there a motion
Just
to,
ask what are the services that we get for that?
I don't think we get much services, to be quite honest.
Included in all their promotional
Right.
materials, marketers, they do a lot of marketing and outreach.
Is there, I'm just curious, like, since we're paying dues, then maybe there's like a annual,
Yeah, I went to their annual meeting and stuff where they,
maybe there's a document they could send us just saying like, here's where we got the Village of Dobbs Ferry, we got the Village of Dobbs Ferry in front of these audiences and this many, we predict that this many more people came. because-
yeah, they have, I went to the meeting this year where
Okay.
they review everything that they've done for the year and all the tourism that they brought, how many people have come to the historic Hudson Valley events, all the events that they've done. They pay for like the boats that go from like Ossining to Haverstraw. I mean, it's a big,
Is it-
but we all get invited to that,
Okay.
so we
I don't
should
remember
go.
seeing
They pay for those boats? They pay for the boats that go?
Yeah,
the ferry?
the money, this money that the memberships that all the towns pay, they help pay for they set up ferries and they do a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Who's our, do we know who our contact is there? or
No, I was
just-
going to say, to your point, why don't we reach out and see if they can come in, or even via Zoom?
Do a
and-
presentation and tell us about it, yeah, since we're dues paying members, I didn't.
I know that there's a big anniversary coming up, and so we do want to be a part of that, but yeah, we can have them, can you make a note of that, Rob?
Yes.
so that we can invite them to, like, even attend.
They
the
also
meeting.
have hosted several Chamber of Commerce meetings too, so.
Great. Let's hear about
It would be good
Mm-hmm.
when you reach out to them, if they can update our page on their site. Because it still has the DF Chamber.
Well, they use whatever people give them. Right. That's all.
Okay, so is there a motion to continue membership in historic Hudson River towns and to authorize payment of the 2025 annual membership dues in the amount of $2,600? Trustee Rosen Asher. Second, trustee Galen. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 11, is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to execute a retainer agreement with Capital Market Advisors to provide financial advisory services commencing June 1st, 2025, which run through May 31st, 2026?
These are the bond people that we met with a few months ago? Correct.
Financial advisors, yeah.
And they lay out their fees depending upon the amount of the bonds and the length of time. So that's why the fees are listed, they're attached to the resolution. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 12. This is the agreement that we enter into with River Arts Facilities so that they can use our waterfront park. So is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to execute a facilities use agreement with the Rivertowns Art Council? Trustee Galen, second trustee Nell, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 13, this is an agreement that we enter into with Jazz Forum Arts for their jazz concerts. So is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to execute a public-private partnership agreement with Jazz Forum Arts in connection with the 2025 Dobbs Ferry Summer Music Series? Trustee Patino, second trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. We look forward to another great year of concerts. It looks like it begins in Dobbs on July 9th.
I think there's eight altogether in Dobbs.
Yeah, and it runs through August 27th. Action item number 14, this is to allocate the money and enter into an agreement to pay for our fireworks for the July 4th, 2025 festival event. So is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Legion Fireworks for fireworks on July 4th, 2025, not to exceed $20,000?
Question before we do that, is there a rain date for the fireworks?
Normally, we cancel it if it doesn't happen that day.
Do we not pay it if we cancel it?
If they cancel it, we don't pay. If we cancel it, I don't have the
We never
contract
pay
in
ahead
front
of
of me, but I think,
I haven't reviewed the contract yet.
do you want to have a rain date? Because normally we don't.
I just am bringing it up because we have been victims of the weather many times in the past, and this is one that people really look forward to, so.
It seems to lose its luster if it's on July 5th or 6th.
But do we not pay then if it doesn't happen?
I think, again, it depends who cancels. But Laura, I mean, how do you
Well,
want?
if we're gonna pay if we cancel because we don't have a rain date, then we should have a rain date.
Just to refresh everyone, we've had this conversation multiple years. Our decision
Let's have
has
it
always been to
again.
not have a rain date because of what you mentioned, that people will just go somewhere else
Right.
on the 4th and not, and
That's
then
fine as
no
well.
one's gonna show up on the 6th or the 8th or whenever we
Right.
decide to have it. So
Then we're
just a
likely to show up on
reminder of
the
this
3rd.
conversation having taken
Well,
place.
That's fine, as
on
long
other
as we're
occasions.
not on the hook for 20 grand.
Do it
So
immediately
I
following.
think we should clarify, I think we should know for certain that if they cancel, we don't pay them.
Right.
And
And what the deal is, if we
Could we-
cancel, is there a deposit
No,
or? is
there
it-
no-
Could we choose to
There's no
have the event,
cancellation language in.
the fireworks displayed at a different event later in the year?
What have we done in the past? This isn't the
We've-
first time here.
We've done that once before, I think, right? Didn't we say we were going to have it like
Hell.
in September one time? And I don't even know if we ever did, but that's what
I mean, it could be in conjunction with the festa, it could, I mean, they could
I
be
don't
in
think it's
conjunction
ever
with-
actually
It's
happened where we haven't had the fireworks.
It's 15% cancellation fee.
I mean,
If we
possibly one or
cancel-
two
Wait,
times
wait,
in 30
let's
years.
hear-
If we cancel,
Okay, so it's 3,000.
if we don't elect a rain date and we cancel, we pay 15% of the contract.
Thank you.
So you guys want to go that way, or do you want to have a rain date?
That way, no rain date.
Me too. There's no rain date. Okay, so as it's written here, there's no rain date, so that's where I'm going to put forth, that's how I'm going to put forth the motion. So is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Legion Fireworks for July 4th, 2025, in the amount not to exceed $20,000? Trustee Patino, second trustee Sullivan, all in favor? It passes unanimously. The next item is concerning the grant that we received and from the Services Council, or Coalition. I can't believe the 10 years are up. It feels like it was yesterday when I was the liaison to that when we got the grant. So there's going to be some money left over, and we have to just authorize this request to use that money as ever left over. So is there a motion to authorize a no-cost extension request for the Drug-Free Communities Grant? Trustee Frozen Asher, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Is there a motion to declare the 2016 Ford Escape as surplus equipment? Trustee Patino, he's doing all the work. Someone else help him out.
Just close it.
It's a lot of heavy lifting, right?
All in
Count of
favor?
steps.
That passes
Because you
unanimously.
never see Jessica,
You're right, I'm
she's
gonna-
like doing
I'm
this.
gonna-
Just don't understand.
I'm gonna turn left for that.
That was getting loopy.
Is there a motion to authorize the police department budget line transfer for equipment purchase as outlined in the memo? Trustee Nell, finally.
Second.
Second, trustee Galen. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Okay, so someone may have to explain this.
Yes, please.
So,
Yeah, I can.
before I
can help
make
with
the
this.
motion, this is concerning 81 Ogden Place, so if you want to go for it, trustee Patino?
Oh,
Go ahead, Laura Lee, and then.
Yeah, the planning board has approved site plan related to improvements which encroach into an existing stormwater easement and also encroach into a portion of the public right-of-way. So as a condition of the approval, the property owner needs to seek authorization to enter into a license agreement. And also as a condition, they have to submit documentation for the building department's review to ensure there will be no disturbance of the pipe within the easement. This is just within the easement area, not actually right over the stormwater drainage pipe. So the building department is working forward. Before they can issue the building permit, the board just needs to authorize entering into a license to accommodate these improvements. It's access related, a ramp to access the private property.
Anything you want to add to that, trustee Patino?
yeah, just the simplest way to think about this is that this is for a young man who needs access to his home. It's really not possible to go around with this ramp on the other side of the house because the driveway goes down, and so they can't do it on the right side. The left side, as you can see, like the cover page drawing in the blue is the easement, so the easement's quite wide, the pipe is quite narrow. The idea is that they put this not above the pipe, but just to the right of it, because it requires some small footings, but it's otherwise just like a wood ramp that wheelchair access.
Thank you. Any other questions?
It's totally reasonable. I think there's a couple of conditions, like they have to do the excavation by hand, not with equipment, so that they don't accidentally damage the stormwater pipe. If it turns out that where they want to put the footings or need to put the footings are directly on top of the pipe or somehow interacting with it, they'll have to go back. They'll have to start over again and figure out another solution. But that, maybe they can support it from the house or some other way, but that's the idea. Planning board thinks it's a reasonable idea. Building department does also.
Is that Chuck's old house? Is that the Fleming's old house?
Yes.
The end of Ogden?
Yeah,
Place?
it's the end, yeah.
Okay.
So like you see the blue line?
Yeah.
But the pipe is probably like way over here. It's probably not underneath it, but they have to look at,
I'm good with it.
I think it's,
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize a license for encroachment of improvements within village easement and right-of-way at 81 Ogden Place? Trustee Patino, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously.
Okay.
Action item number 19, we are going to set a public hearing for the fire department to be able to change the name of their fire company, so we're setting it for June 10th, okay. So is there a motion to set a public hearing for the amendment of Chapter 44 Fire Department of the Dobson Village Code to reflect the name change of Resolute Hook and Ladder Company Number 1 to Dobson Fire Company Number 1 for a public hearing to be held on June 10th, 2025 at 7:30 at Dobson Village Hall? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 20.
Can I just,
Sure.
was there a reason why we didn't, like, we voted on December 12th, 2023 to, like, what, I'm just curious, I don't remember, like, what happened in the interim. They wanted to change the name and we voted to,
This is phase one of a number of local laws that will revise Chapter 44. But things are changing in Albany, which required this to be only a phase one to reflect that a name change has occurred for one of the companies. There are 3 companies right now in the department, so this is a name change, and then each of the companies will take some actions, and that'll be coming back to you to be reflected in this chapter.
as the name change in order to be in compliance with something happening in Albany, or preference?
No, then, only one of the companies incorporated years ago, and then they recently changed their name. It is not mandatory that that be reflected in your local code. It's not part of the village, New York State Village Law, which requires a number of things to happen. But this is a prerequisite. We're adding a paragraph to do a summary of actions and the legislative intent. So it's the step one in a consolidation process that will be occurring.
Did I make the, did any, I don't even know where I was on this. We didn't make a
We
motion.
made a
yet.
motion and passed it. Didn't we, Liz? Yes. She talked after.
Passed it? Oh, great. Oh, yeah. Okay, next is the salaries for the part-time and seasonal employees. Rob, do you want to give a little background on why we're doing this today?
Yes, Mayor. Yeah, Jeff and I met with all the department heads. We went through the entire list, 2 pages in front of you, just to update the list that hasn't been changed in a while, so now reflects current events and current salaries. So we modified that for your consideration.
so what we have here is proposed or existing?
These are the new proposed rates.
Okay,
But we don't have
we
the
don't know.
previous rates.
I'm just curious, you understand what my question is, like, it's going from what to 2850 or from what to 4275? Like, I
Was it
don't know.
26? Was it
Yeah,
11?
I guess my question is, are we being fair across the board?
Right.
What are the general percentages? You know, if I knew that, I could say, why is the library getting shortchanged, but the pool people aren't, or vice versa? I don't know, I just have no
Right.
context.
Understood.
So I don't know if we have
So
a backup
is it, yeah,
document.
is it a problem if we bring this on for next meeting?
No, I think it's waited this long. Wait till the next meeting just to.
Well, does that affect counselors who are going to be starting camp?
Yeah, I mean, I also don't want to, like, I know if people are
retro.
waiting to have these raises, I don't want to hold that up on that.
It
I
could be
just don't know
retro to
what-
June 1.
What'd you say?
It could be retro to June 1.
What's up to you? If you don't feel comfortable, we can.
I guess I'm okay, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Has
have any
anyone else had this
context either.
question
I've
or
never
no?
seen this before, so like, I don't know why, like, the basketball administrator gets $60 an hour, but a librarian only gets $40 an hour. Like, the lifeguard only gets 18, like, I don't know.
Department heads requests
Well, they do different.
It's all based off the
tasks,
departmental
people do two different
requests.
things.
So were most of these, Jeff, is there sort of like a general average increase that we went from last year?
They all get
And by the way,
5%,
have we not done this for
So-
5 years? And
It's
that's,
been a while, it has
Okay.
been a little while, so what we have done is put a range in so that there can be some discretion on, you know, what somebody's paid for each position. Some of these really haven't changed much. But this, I think, is relatively speaking similar, and it's really similar to what was passed before, except for the ranges that were put into it.
I think the range is also taken to account experience, 1, 2, 3 years of service.
And
Starting
also
people out.
minimum wage as well has gone up.
okay, so, sorry, this is like hard to, the 25 to 50 is a rec coach. So who decides that range, where they fall? The
He said the department heads.
the department head just determines.
Right, so like Kendra would decide that.
Okay, and for the fixed, so I understand that for like that third category at the bottom, but the middle category, for example, like, you know, PTA clerks, you know, what was that number before? Just out of curiosity, just, what was the general increase?
I'm
Couple
sorry, I
percentage points, you don't know?
Yeah, I don't remember.
What is minimum wage in Westchester? It's not 17?
1650.
It's
Yeah.
6.
So how do we have a number here that still says
So
16?
that makes
a
sense.
village is not required to follow the state's minimum wage, just the federal minimum wage.
What's a PTA clerk?
Part-time availability.
Okay. So I think the village would want to pay at least minimum wage.
That's what I would agree.
Yes,
So-
That's what I've suggested to typically.
Yeah, I mean, I think just, same thing, kind of quickly
these-
looking this
these-
over, you know, there's like teen camp director at a slightly lower range than teen camp counselor. I would assume, but I don't know, that the director would be a higher range than the counselor, and then the teen camp director, and I don't know enough about these positions to know, but the camp director is 25 to 35, the teen camp director is 1650 to 18, so just, I don't know that we need to go through line by line, but maybe just
Kendra, is there a reason?
bolstering the,
Just experience and length of time?
Come on up, Kendra, I'm sorry to do this to you.
I think also, I just don't know where they were before, so I don't know. It's just
Well, we could
numbers.
do this next
so
time.
there's, just for example, like something that caught my eye is camp director says 25 to 35 an hour, teen camp director says 1650 to 18 an hour, and then teen camp counselor is higher than teen camp director at
Yeah, so that
16.
teen camp director one is definitely not accurate. It
Okay.
should fall in line with the camp directors.
So then why don't we do
That
this?
1650
Yeah,
to
so why don't we,
1850 was the counselors.
okay, so then why don't we do this? Do this for next time. Jeff, if you could bring us what was paid previously, you can go over the list, have maybe all the department heads review it to make sure that it accurately reflects what they believe should be done, and then we can vote on this. Next time it'll be
And
retroactive.
we agree that everything should be no less than state minimum
Right,
wage.
it's gotta
So
be.
my only concern with that is with the library.
We do not set library salaries. The library sets
Do
library
we
salaries.
have to do we have to?
So those three should be eliminated from this list because the village board does not establish salaries for library
All of
personnel.
these library,
So I would argue they're village employees, though.
They
and-
are village employees, but the
And
library
this is their
comes in,
request.
asks for whatever budget is approved, then it's up to the library board to use the funds or to raise funds to cover the cost of their personnel.
Can't we just leave it in the list so it's all in one place with an asterisk on the library one saying that's approved separately by the library board of trustees?
That would be fine. This is a reflection of a decision by the library board. It's a separate corporation under New York State education law.
Let's just put a, like a, you know,
numbers
set at the
we
bottom, put a note
We don't
on it
approve
so
the-
that we
The decision.
clear what
Yep.
that is.
Okay, so
It's a reflection.
Got that?
Not an approval, then you're fine.
So Rob, Jeff, you have that for next time? Okay,
Yes,
so
thank you.
that's going to be tabled.
And can we just say one more thing, that whatever we decide will be applied from
Retro.
June 1st,
Yeah. Be retroactive.
Okay, action item number 21 is to adopt a resolution regarding a concussion management policy. We didn't have one previously, and I think the implementation of this policy, as well as the next policy, will affect our rates for insurance at least. And aside from that, we should have a policy that we know what we're doing ahead of time.
Right, we did have policies in place, but the travelers insurance, they highly recommended we use the most current language, which you see before you, and that does affect the premium. If we approve these two items, the actual premiums will go down, and the coverage will go from $500,000 per occurrence to $5 million per occurrence. So that's why they're highly recommending we adopt these two
And then there's
policies.
training.
So is it fair to say that the reason the insurance company will charge less and cover more is that there's something in this language that is very limiting of what type of concussion is eligible for reimbursement?
I wouldn't say
Insurance
I wouldn't say
companies are known for
type of
their
concussion. It's really the protocol if there is a concussion, what to do. It's a lot of training, like you said. It details in more detail, if you will. That's why they're actually able to lower the premium and give us a better coverage.
Presumably, it's because to reduce the village's liability.
The exposure is reduced.
Because we have a
Because we're doing better.
policy. If we have a policy around concussions and around sexual abuse, then we implement that policy, which includes all of these processes for staff being aware and other community members, relevant community members being aware of any issues, then that reduces our liability less going forward in the event that any of these things happen. I don't think it's
Do
like
you
reimbursement.
foresee problems executing this, or if this policy is in place? I was asking Kendra.
Oh, I thought you were asking Rob.
No, sorry. I looked at her and she shook her head. It
We're
was all
both shaking our
silent.
heads, so
Right,
we're in total agreement.
okay.
Okay. So is there a motion to adopt the Recreation Department's concussion management policy? Trustee Nell, second trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Next action item 22, is there a motion to adopt the sexual abuse and misconduct prevention policy? Trustee Rosen Asher, second trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 23.
Just to, clarify on that, so these policies will be rolled out to the staff and to all relevant
Yes.
community members as
Right, and we're also working
need to be
on,
aware of it so that it meets the
Correct.
criteria that we've set out for ourselves.
right, and what we're also trying to do is take these policies, whatever old policies, and there's not too many, to actually have them memorialized and placed in a policy book, so everybody will always have them, and we can always add to them and change them and update them.
Great, thank you.
And everything will be on the website and easily accessible to people.
One day.
Only once we approve the policy for the website.
Right, right, once we get the policy, we'll have things.
Not gonna be here that much longer. He's taking off his jacket.
Let's go.
Is there a motion to approve the provision of obtaining commercial insurance for general liability coverage for the period of June 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $491,206?
Right.
Trustee Patino, second trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 24, is there a motion to adopt and obtain workers' compensation insurance coverage for the period of June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025 in the amount of $272,226? Trustee Rosenberg, second trustee Rosen Asher, that passes unanimously. Is there a
Wait,
Wait.
Mr. Mayor.
what?
That was workers' comp? Workers' comp
Yeah, that's
is,
permas.
that's 250 something, or 260 something.
261,
261,
256.
Yeah. That's,
Sorry, I read whereas the current
Yeah.
premium.
okay.
Yeah, we're in the second of 3 years, and they actually reduced the premium by $11,000 this year.
Okay.
We're doing very well with our safety training, so thanks to all the department heads who are participating.
Great. Is there a motion to approve the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer? Trustee Rosen Asher, second trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously.
Where are we with our claims? Higher.
So I'm waiting for the local law approval from New York State on that.
Ah, right.
They're slow, apparently.
Okay, trustee Galen, do you have any reports?
The library board is excited about the New York Forward initiative and is going to be thinking about whether they want to submit a project to the process. I guess maybe Trustee, if you want to, I don't know if you want to give a New York Forward update, if there's, just because that's been taking up a lot of time lately, but New York Forward, we had our first local planning committee meeting I did it.
Go for it.
Well, you didn't respond, so please.
I was waiting for my turn.
Okay, but would you like to do it? Was my question.
No.
Sounds like
You
she
do it.
does.
Somebody do it.
Okay. We had a local planning committee meeting, which is a representative group from, that the state convened of community members who will be the ultimate decision makers about which slate of projects from across Dobbs Ferry, including public, private, and nonprofit projects, gets submitted to the state for some of the $4.5 million of downtown revitalization money that has been approved through the New York Forward program. And there are a number of other meetings and initiatives underway. There's going to be a bunch of community-wide meetings coming up, and I would encourage everyone to just keep their eye on the mayor's newsletters for upcoming dates. There's also going to be a business, an info session for businesses so that they're aware of what's going on, and if they have any questions about it, there's going to be a separate conversation for anyone who's thinking about applying for some of the funds. And so that's the context in which I was just updating everyone that the library board is considering possibly putting their own application together for some of the funds separately from the village's priorities. And I want to note, although June 14th, because there's going to be amazing programming through River Arts, through the music tour, which also dovetails with Phoenicia Flea, which will be happening at the waterfront also on June 14th. So please save the date. We have a rain date for both events, which is June 15th, which is a Sunday.
Trustee Rosenberg.
Yeah, I wanted to both brief the board and anybody watching about how on June 4th, the DOT, their engineering firm WSP, is going to be running a public forum about the Route 9 redesign. This project began over about a year and a half ago. And there have been a number of iterations of plans that have gone through, and comments and feedback have been gathered from the public in a couple of instances, the villages in a few instances, and they're almost at the end of the process now, and they're presenting a plan that has been through environmental review, has been through preliminary engineering so that they know it's generally feasible, though there will be things that can be altered when they do the rest of the engineering and design, should the project be funded and get there. So this is essentially the public's last chance during this phase of the project to go and look at plans and look corridor wide, look at the area in front of your house, look at the gateway, look at whatever interests you, and provide feedback. There are a handful of significant changes in Dobbs Ferry, and everybody should take a look. There will not only be like long maps that are very difficult to read, there will be static renderings of some of these areas, and there will also be videos that sort of will take you more or less from one end of the villages to the others and show you, not at a granular level of detail, but will show you how traffic is intended to move. For example, at a roundabout at where Ashford and Walgrove and Broadway come together. So you'll have a sense of an understanding of how pedestrians will cross at that intersection, of how cars will be expected to behave. So very important that people turn up and provide that feedback. June 4th, the Mercy Rotunda, 6 to 8 p.m.
And then that doesn't, like, that's our, as a board, chance to give feedback too, right? Like, do we have a say in it from that point forward, or?
Well, there's two answers to that. One is we've been giving feedback along the way, and our last official chance to give feedback was back in December. When they provided these maps, they gave us a preview.
At one of their workshops?
No, they gave us a preview privately. There's a committee called the Transportation Partnering Committee that is Village Administrator Emuter, myself, Donna Cassell. They showed us maps and asked us to make sure that all of our comments had been addressed. Some were not. So we had a Zoom meeting that included the mayor, and we gained their agreement on doing some of the things that we had asked to do that they had left out. And they gave us a couple of very reasonable sounding explanations why some of the things we had asked were not in fact possible. So the answer is, when this goes into the next phase, which is unfunded at the moment, there will be an opportunity to do more things as long as they don't affect the environmental component of it. That said, they've also made it clear that this is a DOT project at this point, and while we can make recommendations, we do not get a yay or a nay on any particular aspect of it.
So if we want to have input, we should go to this.
You should go to this, yes.
I would only add, the actual state is coming out with their final report next month, I think. So that'll wrap up their 18-month process.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's theoretically going to include the, the 30-day comment period after the June 4th event.
Okay, that's great. Trustee Patino.
Ouch.
Oh, you more?
Oh,
sorry.
You doubled down on it. Like I was invisible.
I haven't looked left all day.
I don't really have anything. I wasn't able to attend, but I know.
You don't have anything.
I do. I wasn't able to attend, but on May 18th, it was May 18th, right? The rec department did the food truck festival, which I heard was a great turnout.
It was.
And everyone was really happy about it. And I'm sure you'll talk about the lovely Memorial Day parade we had yesterday.
Done?
I am, that's it.
Trustee Patino.
The CAB has events every weekend. They're planting events, invasive species cleanup, so sign up for those and do some volunteer work. They're fun.
Trustee Rosen Asher.
The Human Rights and Diversity Committee spoke at our workshop to give us a review of the listening circles, and it's been very positive so far. If you've participated, thank you. If you haven't, there will be opportunities for you to do so, and it's a very worthwhile process. If you want to know anything about it, please get in touch with me or with anyone on the Human Rights and Diversity Committee.
Trustee Knapp.
Let's go Knicks.
Trustee Knapp.
I'd like to see the game, so.
Sorry.
Downtown committee met last week, and hopefully we're going to be considering at our next meeting a shuttle to connect the downtown Phoenicia Flea, because we only did Wicker's Creek up until now. We didn't do Phoenicia Flea.
We did. We
We
did a
did
pilot
River
for
Arts.
all of them, yeah.
We did River Arts.
Really?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Never mind.
We did Phoenicia Flint.
All right, then, they're gonna, but they also want to have sidewalk sales. And they would like us to waive fees for sidewalk sales for that day, to be the thing that people come up from Phoenicia Flea to do while there's music happening in the downtown on that day.
Which is what we did last year.
Which is what you did last year. And so that is what will hopefully
So I
be
don't like doing pilots.
Well,
pilot part
want
2.
people to.
So we'll consider it next time. It's just bringing it up now. And they're very excited about everything that's happening. They're pumped. And Sustainable Dobbs, they are very happy that we did that resolution today. So thank you for that. That's it.
Okay, great. I just want to report on 2 events. On May 18th, we had the Tri-Village Memorial Day event, which honored primarily World War II military people who died. That was held at Mount Hope in Hastings, and this year Dobbs Ferry American Legion hosted that event. So it was a really moving event. I was there along with the mayor of Hastings, and Mary Jane Shimsky and David Memorial were there, and actually State Senator Andre Stewart Cousins were there. So it was a very moving event, and we appreciate being invited and being part of that Tri-Village event. And just yesterday, Memorial Day, the village held its own event, which I thought went really well. It was very well attended, and it was very moving. I want to thank the American Legion for their efforts in putting that together. Especially want to thank Randy Jurgensen for being the master of ceremonies, and it was really inspiring, his speech and his service. So we thank everyone for their participation in that.
Mayor, do you want to mention the proclamation about Bill Florence?
Oh, yeah, thanks. As people may or may not know, Bill Florin was the longtime commander of the American Legion. 2 months ago, he stepped down. There is a new commander of the American Legion, Angelo Suave, and yesterday we all honored Commander Florin for his service, not only in the military, but to this village. And we, when I say we, Liz put together a proclamation, and we declared, I think, tomorrow to be his day. So tomorrow is Bill Florin Day in the village of Dobbs Ferry, and we will get that proclamation. He was unable to attend the event, and we will get that proclamation to him as soon as possible. So we want to thank him again for his service to the country and to the village, and he is greatly missed.
I can tell you he is aware of the honors bestowed by the state and the village, and offered his thanks.
Oh, great, I'm glad to hear that. And just May 21st, Rob and I hosted the middle school, right?
Right here in Village Hall.
They came here in Village Hall, and they had a lot of interesting questions.
Wait, who? The whole middle school?
No,
No,
student
no,
government.
student government.
Oh, okay.
Just about 12 students.
Wasn't your daughter?
No, my daughter.
No,
Your daughter?
Yeah.
you went to the school, though, she said.
It was
No,
here.
no, no, they came here.
It was here.
How did she see you? She's not in student government. Beside the
She
point.
did not want to come here.
Well,
She
in
was-
keep-
she
in
was
keeping
having
with the
things to
flavor
do.
of national politics, Mayor Rizzillo's photograph is in every public building in Dobbs Ferry.
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
So they came, it was a great event. Of course, the most important place they wanted to see was the jail. So they got a tour of the jail, the police department
Son still
came.
talks about that when they showed up there.
The police department took them around, so it was a great event. So I want to thank them for that.
You should mention the award for Gould Park. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, the Westchester Municipal.
Westchester Municipal Planning Federation will be awarding
Never mind, the mayor
No, no,
wants to
go
do it next.
ahead.
to commemorate the
Thursday.
changes that the updates to Gould Park. So they're being recognized for the excellence in design and implementation of Gould Park.
This Thursday.
Thursday,
Thursday. We'll bring back is there a trophy or is there a plaque? Or is there
yes, there will be all of
We'll
those.
bring back the plaque.
We have a trophy wall.
We do have a
Won
number
an
of
award, it could be a trophy.
number of officials attending NICOM this week, so the mayor and the deputy mayor will be accepting that award on behalf of the village.
Yes. So is there a motion to close tonight's meeting? Trustee Sullivan,